What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, come on, you know I don't watch that shit.
Why not? Too scared?
No, it's just what's the point? They're all the same. Some stupid killer stalking some big-breasted girl who can't act, who's always running up the stairs when she should be going out the front door. It's insulting.
Hello and welcome to episode 57. This is the ASMR Kim and Kat Stay Alive podcast.
Here, we'll take a shot.
Cheers.
Right into the
Listen
thing.
to us drink.
There are some people that fucking hate ASMR, and they were all just like, goodbye. Hello.
This is Kim and Kat Stay Alive.
Maybe.
We're a horror movie comedy podcast.
And we're going to tell you the entirety of a plot of a movie.
And spoil the whole thing.
Yeah, and at different points, I'm going to ask Ms. Burns. I'm sorry, I'm still over salivating from that shot. I'm going to ask Ms. Burns how she would stay alive.
Is that even what it is? I don't know. I don't know what it sounds like. Really.
No, that is what it is. There's
it's
this one
just sounds
chick.
of like life.
Yeah, well,
and people's and like bodies.
Yeah, like there's this one chick, Lilium, and I have been falling asleep to her because there are some people that get an actual like tingle at the back of their neck when they hear certain sounds. I don't get that. Eric does.
Like a good tingle.
Yes, a good tingle.
Yeah, I don't.
To the point where like
I'm always like, ew.
Oh, yeah. So to the point, I just find it pleasant, but I don't get a tingle. But to the point that like before there was ASMR YouTube videos and things like that, Eric would sometimes enjoy listening to telemarketers because it gave him a tingle in the back of his neck.
What exactly is the Okay, well, what's the sound that gives the tingle? I mean, I know it's different for different people, but like it's literally like a chewing thing. Like that is one of them, right?
It's a chewing thing. So like the sound of chewing pickles is a big one. But then there's also like, okay, so this chick Lilium, she talks like this. Hello, this is Lilium. And like she just makes it so that every sound that her mouth makes is very intentional and you can hear it in the mic. So like she probably wouldn't have this like sound buffer.
That's so interesting because when one of my managers at one point was trying to get me to do some voiceovers, like she would be like, oh, you can just like record it on your phone, like this like quick audition thing or something. And she'd be like, eat an apple or something first because I can like hear the sounds of your mouth.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I mean, I don't know how to get rid of the sounds from my mouth.
That's so you should listen to this chick Lilium just to like hear what people are hearing because it's very distinct, and I don't even know how she does some of it. She just knows how to make the parting of her teeth and the parting of her lips and the movement of her tongue make a sound that's just very soothing and
I'm interested in trying it out.
It's fucking
I don't know
delightful.
if it's actually soothing or like to me it's creeping me out more. Like I'm like I think I need to like ease into the soothe or something. Like I feel more anxiety about it than I do soothe. Which is interesting.
Don't disagree with
That's
you.
what some people say about meditation. But,
yeah.
Well, that's because they don't understand what meditation is. But
right. But I heard it because Eric was listening to it and I was annoyed initially.
Yeah.
But then I like was in a place where I was like, he needs to listen to this to fall asleep tonight.
Right.
So like I need to get into it. And so I really just tried to like kind of listen, and watching her mouth move made it.
My friend Megan, who was on the set of Lucky, she has an ASMR horror short.
Shut up.
That Brea is in, actually. And Megan is the one that like we did that student film together like 10 fucking years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's with what's her group called? It's like a group of like female directors called Fatale Collective.
Okay.
I think that's how I'm saying it. Fatale.
Fatale. Yeah. Like femme fatale.
Yeah. So they have like a combination, I think, of shorts that I know is like out at festivals and stuff right now. So,
but she has
we'll
an
have to watch
ASMR.
It. Yeah, hers is ASMR like based. So it's very like she was talking about creating it. And she had to like hire someone to like
that's fucking
kind of like
crazy.
Teach her like what to do or whatever. I don't know. It was interesting hearing her talk about it.
I mean,
so
the closest thing
I have to ask her what it's called.
Yeah, the closest thing I can think of like what other people are experiencing to the nth degree is when I used to wear like little black patent leather shoes and like my white tights as like, I'm talking like 3, 4, 5 years old. There was a certain type of patent leather shoe when you walked on a certain type of cement or asphalt that made a very pleasing sound to me. And so I remember trying to say to my parents if I liked a shoe or didn't like a shoe, being like, it doesn't make the right click. And my parents were like, what the fuck are you? Like I was already a creepy kid. And then I'm like, I can't wear these shoes. They don't have the right click. And they're like, God. My child is haunted. Creepy crapbag kid. Get out of here. Creepy crapbag kid.
We haven't said that forever.
I know.
What episode was that from?
That was from Ouija. Origin of Evil.
You creepy crapbag.
Maybe that's why I'm so sensitive to creepy crapbag kids, because I myself was one.
You were.
I was. Speaking of creeps, I have a movie to tell you.
Great.
I based this movie, The Choice, solely on stumbling across the tagline on Twitter.
Interesting.
Because it was the best fucking tagline I've ever heard in my life.
Oh.
And that was all I knew about it.
Fun.
It's a movie from the 80s. And it's called Night of the Creeps. And the tagline is, good news is your dates are here. Bad news is they're dead.
Oh, right. You tagged me because my ghost boyfriend.
I just loved it so much. So I was like, I'm going to fucking watch this shit. And you know how I am judgmental to the point of I need to work through it in therapy because it's mostly judging myself, but it comes out on other people for sure. Oh, you're so sweet.
Say it again.
I'm pretty judgmental.
I'm just not following. Oh, yeah. You're projecting like your own judgments onto other people.
Yeah. So when I started watching this,
So you're judgmental of yourself, which makes you judgmental on other people.
Exactly. I was very judgmental of this movie in the first like scene or whatever.
Right.
So then I ended up being like very pleasantly surprised by the end of it. I mean, it's still like garbage, but it's like great garbage. It's delightful garbage.
I love delightful garbage.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I find it often in my life. I tend to seek it out.
Delightful
tend
garbage.
to just really draw in delightful garbage into my life. Often.
Don't we all? All right. So are you ready for this?
Yeah.
So, hold on. Okay. So, we have an interesting little thing that we're going to do in addition to our Dead or Alives.
Oh, fun.
Okay.
Okay.
You are first going to pick ending 1 or ending 2.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like which happens?
Yeah.
But I have to say it from the beginning?
So, okay. I'm going to tell you both endings.
You know I can't just fucking...
No. I'm going to tell you both endings. But there is a Dead or Alive that corresponds to one ending or the other. So you'll pick an ending,
okay.
and then your Dead or Alives will be tallied based on the ending you picked.
Great.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right. So ending 1 or ending 2?
I don't get to hear it. I just pick?
Mm-hmm.
2.
Okay. Dead or Alive. Chris, who I in the beginning referred to as Dork 1.
Alive.
JC, who I initially referred to as Dork 2.
Dead.
Detective Cameron.
Alive.
Bruni, as in brunette, and who I later learned her name is Cynthia.
Alive.
Frat Brad.
Dead.
50s chick.
Alive.
50s guy.
Alive.
Scientist.
Alive.
All right.
Gedron's like erasing things. I don't know what's happening on her piece of paper right now.
Well, because I had 2 different endings listed out, so I just want to make sure that
This makes it very exciting. I feel like we're in a
up.
choose your own adventure, which is actually what our podcast is based on.
What
so,
it is,
but it's like
yeah.
even more so.
I know. I'm very excited about it.
That's literally like was my idea. I was like, what if we do a choose your own adventure?
Well, you got it, girl. 57 episodes later, and I granted your request.
It's literally what we do of being like, what would you do?
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. We open on a spaceship in space.
A spaceship in space.
As
Okay.
opposed to like a spaceship
for sure on Earth.
Yeah. that isn't supposed to be there. This spaceship is where it's supposed to be, which is in space.
And its homeland.
And there are some pretty angry ET looking aliens running around with little alien guns. I would say I literally wrote angry ETs because they have an ET vibe to them, but like with legs. Okay, but like their head shape, they could be like the planetary cousins of ET.
Did E.T. have legs?
He had only feet.
He was always like, yeah.
He had
he
only
did have
feet.
big feet.
Yeah, it was just feet attached to a torso.
Big feet.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it would be like
great.
if there were legs between ET's torso and feet.
Okay.
That's what
this is like the
these
same
little
time
fuckers-
period, kind of.
It is, yeah. So
anyway, angry ETs with guns.
with little space guns, little laser guns,
Got it.
and they're chasing something like through their spaceship, and they're mad about it, and they're like trying to get it right. And we see their speech written in like alien, and then underneath the translation, so it's like that experiment must not get off this ship. Guess what? It gets off the ship. Okay, and we just see it flying through space. Cut to Sorority Row, 1959.
Oh shit!
And that's what-
1959.
1959.
I feel like I don't see that much.
We're in the straight up black and white right now.
I feel like you don't see the 50s of Sorority Row. Like, tell me about it. I don't know.
Well, we
Are
kind
we
of were
sock
in it.
hopping?
We're sock hopping. We're ponytails.
Cute.
We're lots of sweater vests for boys.
Okay.
We have a
And
lot
then,
of
like
pointy
skirts
boobs
and skirts and like long sweaters with pointy boobs.
Yep,
That's what I'm
exactly.
seeing. I like
Basically,
it.
it's well, I guess Uncommon Women and Others was based in the 70s. No, I think it was based in the 70s.
But then did we
60s.
flash? We had to flash back though.
We were in
No,
this
I'm not
play. We're
sure.
fucking assholes.
I mean, it was 1,000 years
It was
ago.
1,000 years ago. But it's that kind of cultural vibe. But the fashion might be a little different. Okay, so we black and white. We hear some bebop songs and things like that. And it's college time. There's a bunch of 50s frat brothers and sorority chicks. And we hear in a guy's car who's driving down the street to pick up one of his ladies from the sorority. The radio's on, and all we hear is APB from the asylum click. Like he turns it off, and I'm like, "Bitch, you got to listen to APBs, okay?
But, like,
all
wait,
points.
It's
bulletin.
on his regular radio.
Yeah, so like he's driving down the street listening to the radio. And there's like an
when
alert.
Did APBs go out in the 1950s to the radio station?
Well, how else would they go out?
I mean, is he a cop?
No.
That's what's weird.
But because they're saying all points bulletin to because it's also
Did
not
we ever
coming.
figure out that it was all points bulletin? Isn't it something else?
No. It is all points bulletin. We thought it was all police be here now or some shit.
We thought it was a bulletin.
We thought it was all police bulletin,
probably.
but it's all points bulletin. No, and this also isn't coming from a police station. It's coming from a insane asylum. So they're saying like the insane asylum is just informed citizens. All points bulletin that turning it off. I'm trying to get laid.
Right. Don't want to ruin the mood.
Right.
Of course.
So now we're in a sorority house. We're still black and white. And there's a girl talking on the phone. And she's like, he's so dreamy. And she's like, oh, Buffy, you're behind the times. They broke up. Oh, come on. He's a cop. He has no future. Wake up and smell the coffee, Buffy. And then it pans over to a blonde girl who, like, based on the way the shot's laid out, we realize that the girl on the phone is talking to Buffy about this girl that the camera just panned over to
right.
as
They're
like, this is the girl.
this
This is the girl that broke up with the cop.
With the cop.
And the girl that's being discussed, like, doesn't care. Like, she's like, yeah, I dumped his ass. When I'm just like, okay, we get it. Just a little exposition there that I thought was delivered well. Like, for a trash movie, I felt like it was delivered well. So
Sounds like it. Very quick.
yeah. So cool bebop guy that turned the radio off. He's now throwing rocks at
Is he
the
cute?
window. he's 1950s cute, which is not my thing. He's too well coiffed. He's too shaven.
Oh, he's like sweater cute. I keep thinking of greaser cute.
No. He's in college. So like boys that went to college were like.
He's like khakis and sweater.
Yes. Like everyone that I went to high school with, but in the 1950s.
In my brain, the 1950s boys are all like greasers.
No.
Hi.
No, those boys didn't go to college.
Little fucking like pony boy.
I hear you. No, those boys didn't go to college because there were no colleges on that side of the tracks, Kim.
That's my track.
I know.
My side of the tracks.
We're on my side of the tracks.
Okay. Fuck. God damn it. Fine.
So, Blondie comes to the window.
I'm so sorry, but every sound I make now
is ASMRing you. I know.
Ketrin. This is a side note, but Ketrin made us a delightful drink today where she chopped up fresh fruit.
I know.
And put it into some White Claw. Some plain White Claw, which apparently exists.
Yeah.
Not unflavored White Claw. And it's just delicious.
It's so
There's
good.
dragon egg, which we have. That's a fruit, you guys.
Yeah,
dragon
it's a
egg.
type of plum. It's called dragon egg.
It's delicious. But I started like sitting here drinking some. Then I was like just eating the fruit like on the side. And I was just I should move my face away from this microphone to not ASMR it. And then I like opened up my kombucha and it was like.
Well, you've seen that commercial with Zoe Kravitz where she like opens a beer. She like opens a beer and like holds it up to the microphone and like clinks it with her nails. Have you seen that?
I have not, no.
Okay. Like ASMR is like a thing now. I think it's because people have access to like good microphones. You could only stumble upon that tingle feeling before. But it's like, it's a thing that
very
people
intrigued
have.
by this quote unquote tingle feeling. I didn't know that the tingle feeling was a thing. I thought it was just like, oh, people find this soothing, or it's like a kinky thing.
No, it's an actual like sensation on the back of your neck.
I want it.
I know.
Someone send it. Someone direct me.
Send you the tingle.
I want the tingle. I'm sorry, I got us off track so far, but I was just trying to avoid chewing my fruit into the microphone.
Well, what's funny is I've been aware of our ASMR potential or downfall since the very beginning, because the last time we saw Mitch from Wayland,
the band. He's a singer in a band.
Yeah, the last time we saw
when we first moved to LA, like our best friends were like these fucking dudes in bands, and we just
they saved
drank
our lives,
a lot
basically.
and ran across cars to Dodgers games.
It was just oh my god,
the roofs of cars.
But I guess Mitch has. I think what he said. We were drunk, obviously. He is the opposite.
Ooh,
of
also intrigued.
Eric,
tell me more.
Where he like can't handle the sound of chew.
That's where I'm feeling more towards.
It's
feeling more yucky to me.
I think that's where Mitch lives.
Okay.
But he started listening to our podcast like from the very beginning, which is so cute.
Hi, Mitch. Thank you.
Hi, if you're listening. But I think what he was saying was like we did a good job of like not making him want to vomit from the noise, from the sound,
from the sound of our mouth, pieces.
Yes, I think that's what he was saying. So like from that conversation, I've been constantly aware of that. Where I'm like, am I gonna make Mitch throw up right now? Like, are we? So
weird.
Yeah, guys, we're an ASMR.
I'm gonna learn about it. We will be.
Let's just start another fucking podcast where we just like make mouth sounds.
That would be really fun because I've also, for years we've talked about my hand website.
Now you can have hand and mouth career. It sounds like hand and mouth disease. You can have a hand and mouth career.
If anyone would love to see hands, if anyone has a hand fetish and wants to see them do weird things, like I'm not even weird things, but like maybe just make
a
cakes,
pickle
just hold
while
things.
you eat it. While you eat the pickle,
I would do it.
Right?
My original hand modeling agent also had me as a lip modeling agent, or modeling agent also had me as a lip model too. She was
I
like,
want you to find people with good lips.
So she's like, your lips are great too. We'll do a picture that includes them just in case they want lips.
So you like had to put your hand up to your mouth?
No, I don't remember what it was, but it was like included like next to them somehow in a pretty fucking dumb way. LA is weird, you guys.
LA is super weird.
So technically I'm a hand and lip model. You know what I mean?
That very same agent, everyone, when she came to our
bonkers
apartment,
muggy.
Yeah, when she came to our apartment, banging on my door at 11 p.m.
my
looking for my roommate named Kim Burns. But you guys, I'm not exaggerating. Drove to my home and banged on my door looking for my roommate.
From her very fancy house in Beverly Hills.
Yeah. In her rage, she found the time to examine my feet and tell me she'd like to represent me as a foot model.
I forgot about that part.
She was so angry and then literally went, side note, have you ever considered foot modeling? That bitch worked. I mean, she worked. So what I'm saying is our video will be Kim and I both talking into microphones, Kim holding a pickle with her hands and me holding a pickle with my
your feet. So if anyone would like to pay for that.
Yeah, which
we'll do it.
Here we go.
Can we get
here
some
we come, millions of dollars.
for that. I really got kbtouchesstuff.com.
Right? Yep.
We've been talking about that for years.
Can I finish my fucking movie?
Oh, I forgot we were doing this.
Forgot
Are we not
doing
just
it
sitting
too.
here talking?
Yeah. Okay, so
I'm just eating fruit out of a jar right now.
You're doing it on purpose now. You're like, I'm gonna get that ASMR dollar. Okay, so Bebop 50s guy throwing rocks at Blondie's window. So she goes to the window. Cut to, they go to the place where all the couples go to park. Okay.
Right.
But it's the 1950s, so they don't like make out. They're literally just cuddling cheek to cheek. Like, have you ever like cuddled just like cheek to cheek? Like just holding each other's cheeks together? I mean,
you know what, Ketrin, I've done a lot of things in my life.
Never
and
that?
I want to say no, but it sounds like probably
I
yes.
know. I'm going to try that.
Knowing me, probably yes.
I'm going to try that with Eric tonight. I'm going to be like, do you want to just hold our cheeks together?
I get real weird and sentimental sometimes.
I can see you holding your cheek to someone.
I know.
So 1950s parking, holding their cheeks together. Now a cop comes up to their car and is like, hey, you guys got to clear out of here because of that APB that came out, right? Then he shines the flashlight in their face and we see some recognition. The cop looks at the girl. The girl looks at the cop.
Uh-oh.
And the cop is dumbfounded. And Blondie is just like, hello, whatever your name is.
Right.
Let's say Mike. I don't remember.
The cop.
Yeah. And the boyfriend who's in the car is like, who's that? And she's like, someone from my past. The cop basically is just like, just get home. Like, he's clearly upset by the whole interaction. It's like, you just need to get home. Now the cop walks away and we see meteor crashing through the sky. And I'm like, am I watching Killer Clowns?
I know, I forgot about
this
aliens.
Is like
We're back.
Almost beat for beat Killer Clowns.
Was this made? Wait, what year were they made?
1986 was this movie. I don't remember when Killer Clowns was made. It's timeless, really. So I don't know. But I'm like, this is almost shot for shot Killer Clowns. Even to the point where the boy is like, let's go speed after it. Let's go find where it landed. She doesn't want to go. They pull up to like where they think it landed in the woods, and there's a circus tent. No, I'm just kidding. He wants to go investigate. She and tells her to like stay put in the car. And this is the 1950s, remind you. And she literally looks at him and goes, "You're kidding, right?" And I was like,
queen,
bitch, okay. But then she goes back into 1950s mode because like she does stay there because Kim, she's a woman in the 1950s.
I was like, ahead
you
of her time.
I know
she's ahead of her time.
She wants to be ahead of her time so badly. So now the dude is walking through the woods by himself with a flashlight. And she now turns the radio on. And we hear that APB again. And we hear what it is. 35-year-old escapee killed 4 orderlies, moving west towards Corman University. She turns on the headlights of the car because there's a sign in front of her, but she can't see it, turns it on, and it says, "This way to Corman University." And she's like, fackety, fack. So then we just hear her go, "Johnny?" Kind of like you trying to like hail a waitress in a restaurant like far too quietly. because I'm just like, he's in the woods. Like, use your voice. Like, get on your voice. Johnny! Like, yell it. Get his attention.
What if the guy here? What if the escaped guy hears you?
I mean, you gotta take. What do you? But he's also gonna see you in the car. You gotta take your chances, Kim. You gotta weigh your options. And I'm scared. So she keeps yelling like really quietly, and she's like, "Can we go back to the point?" And then she goes, "I'll even let you fondle my breasts."
Whoa!
Like, use whatever you got in your tool bag.
Yes, girl.
You know. And so as
they're gonna get crazy, fondle my breast,
fondle my
breast,
sweater, and like touch my cheek to your cheek. Hey.
Ooh.
As she's saying this, we see someone approaching the car.
No.
Holding an axe.
Uh-oh.
Cut to Johnny in the woods inspecting what fell from the sky. And it looks like a giant canister that fell from the sky.
Okay.
It looks very similar to the thing that we saw shot out of the spaceship in the beginning scene.
Right.
He's looking down at it into the hole, and all of a sudden something shoots him into the face.
Shoots him into the face?
We don't know what it is. Like, that's why I'm saying
shoots into his face.
Or shoots
him into the face.
Shoots him in the face, or shoots into his face. Shoots him in the face or shoots into his face. We can't tell. Or
it didn't shoot him into the face.
It shoots him his whole body into his face.
Great.
It shoots himself into himself.
Great.
And so we're like, fuck, like what's going on out here? Like I've got alien things happening, but then I've also got this escaped asylum with an axe out by the car. Back to the car. Asylum guy. It's the asylum guy because we can tell from his hospital gown. Starts fucking axing this bitch up.
No.
50s chick.
No.
Is axed
she
the
was
fuck
ahead
up.
of her time.
She was. Well, now she's behind
she
her
died
time.
too young.
She did.
Can we talk about when I lived in college next to an insane asylum?
Yeah, Shepherd Pratt.
One of the most
famous asylums.
Where it's what you call it is based on Silence of the Lambs.
It's where Silence of the Lamb is based, and also fun side note, F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife Zelda lived there for a time. She lived at the same time as my great grandmother was also in Shepherd's Pratt, and because my great grandmother was also crazy.
Or ahead of her time.
No, she was straight cray-cray. She was like straight cray-cray. Maybe she could have been ahead of her time if she had been like medicated properly, but like in her the current iteration that was on this planet.
Your mom's side or dad's side?
My mom's side. Because the depression went straight fucking down the line from her.
Got it.
But my grandmother told me that my great grandfather Lloyd Ketron, who I'm named after, was in letter correspondence.
You mean Lord Ketron?
Yeah, Lord Ketron was in letter correspondence with F. Scott Fitzgerald about their crazy wives.
We're in Shepherd Pratt together.
Isn't that fucking nuts?
And then 1 million years later, they built a housing complex for college students, and the first year I lived there, and it was literally we shared a driveway with Shepherd Pratt.
I mean, it's a beautiful facility. I used to swim laps there. It's gorgeous. And my Aunt Susan used to work there, and apparently all the orderlies were like super fucking hot. She called them all like hot Jesus, and they would like all work there, and then they would ride off into the sunset on the orderlies' motorcycles.
Why didn't I date any of them?
Right? And obviously they like fucking loved Susan, like because Susan was like just this fucking drop dead gorgeous bitch. And so she like, my history is tied to Shepherd Pratt.
Very strong.
I know.
And that's where Hannibal Lecter stays in Silence of the Lambs.
Hannibal Lecter. Yeah.
Very fun.
Little history lesson. Okay. So cut to University Row. Same row, but it's the 80s. Okay.
University Row, same row, but it's the 80s.
Yep.
Yes.
And we see two dorks cruising for chicks. But we can tell that they're dorky because like they're kind of looking at the chicks admiringly and then also looking at the frat bros admiringly.
Right.
And they're lamenting about how little sex they have. And one of them is like, my grandparents have more sex than we do. And they're just like, they're actually very funny. Their dialogue is actually like quippy 80s John Hughesy dialogue. Okay. Dork 1, or Chris, sees a pretty bruni, Cynthia, and gets like super starry-eyed, like from across the yard. And he's like, who is she? And Dork 2, JC, yells after her and is like, hey! And he's like, fuck you, dude. Like trying to get her attention for his friend. And she kind of like sees them and just like kind of gives them a look, maybe a little half smile, but like obviously doesn't come over. And so Chris is like, fuck you, man. And then she turns and walks away. And he's like, shit, she's going into the beta house. I hate the betas. And then I wrote, dialogue is fun and John Hughesy. Like that was my first bit of surprise where I was like, oh, like these kids could like totally be in a John Hughes movie and that their acting is good. Like they're great. Cut to them in the beta house party, the two dorks in the beta house party. And they're looking for Bruni Cynthia. And they find her and a dude has walked up to her. He's like a dumb jock. And Chris is like, oh, she's already talking to some guy. And JC is like, he's got one continuous eyebrow. He's got nothing on you. So his friend really tries to get him to think positively. So JC is like, you got to think positively, man. Like, it's just, he's like, you got a lot to offer. He's like such a good friend. It's so cute. So then JC walks up to one continuous eyebrow who's talking to Cynthia, and he says, hey man, and then he like turns to her and is like, what's his name? And she's like, Steve. And he's like, yeah, Steve, there's a phone call for a Steve over there. And so he's like, what? And like walks away. And so then JC is like, my friend is kind of interested in you. And he's got this real cute, charming, young Robert Downey Jr. vibe. Like, I feel like Robert Downey Jr.
JC
does. Okay, Like, Chris, Dork 1, didn't even have the cojones to walk over. So RDJ, little baby RDJ, walks over JC. And she actually, like, seems kind of interested in Chris. Like, she looks at him across the way and, like, she's not interested. But then she's like, I have a boyfriend. So then one continuous eyebrow walks back over and he's like, hey, there was no call for me. And he's like, you know, makes some joke or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then goes back over to his friend Chris. And Chris is like, spill the beans. And he's like, does she have a boyfriend? And JC is like, nope, no boyfriend. Just because I think he wants, like, he knows that if he says she has a boyfriend, he won't try anymore. Like, he's just like, he doesn't have any confidence. This is the 80s where a woman's decision doesn't matter.
I know. I was like, yeah, but she said she has a boyfriend. So, like,
we have to suspend our disbelief.
We
have to suspend our disbelief that it's the 80s and this was meant to be a cute friend scene.
Cute. Right.
Yeah. But I'm with you. I'm like, where's her opinion of how this should go?
Like, I understand that you were like, it's meant to be cute that he says no to give him hope. But I'm like,
but she
why
said she has a boyfriend. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I'm with you. So he basically,
this is when they promoted like stalking as cute.
Pretty much. Yeah. So he looks at her again and he's like, I'm in love, dude. And he's like, but she's only going to like me if I'm in a frat. And I'm like, I mean, you could try her. But again, it's the 80s. Maybe that's the truth. Maybe you could only date frat guys. Cut to them deciding to pledge.
Oh, God.
Yep. So it's a bunch of private school dudes. You know exactly what each of these 1980s frat brothers looks like. I don't even have to describe them. You know exactly what they look like. You know what the head frat brad looks like. They're the worst. And they're like, yeah, you can pledge if you do something for us. And they're like, and Chris goes, we don't have to fuck a farm animal, do we? Aminal. And frat Brad is like, nope, but good suggestion. So we don't know what they told him to do yet, but they know that they gave him a task. Cut to, they're leaving the frat house to go do something. And Chris is like, are we really going to let, no. The frat brothers are like, are we really going to let them in if they do this? And frat Brad is like, get serious. Then the frat Brad's girlfriend, comes up to him and he's like, hey, babe, how's it going?
God.
And we see that it's Bruni Cynthia.
No, Bruni Cynthia.
She's with Frat Brad.
Why are you with Frat Brad?
She's in college. Think of all the terrible mistakes we made.
Bruni Cynthia, you can do so much better.
She doesn't know yet. She doesn't know, just like we didn't know.
It's true.
Cut to a medical facility of some kind and an underground hallway in that medical facility. And by underground, I mean just like, it looks like they do things that the public would never, ever be exposed to. It's maybe where the morgue is. It's maybe where the experimental labs are, that kind of thing. And this is where this movie is way ahead of its time. I just fucking noticed, I'm sure it was in other shots, but I just didn't notice, that JC is disabled. He has like crutches on his arms. Oh. And it makes sense because he actually makes a joke about his own crutches earlier. I think he's one of those people that like makes jokes before other people can. But I just like, because I'm typing and stuff, so I just didn't see it. And I was like, oh my God, like the best friend is just like this super cute dude that's got a disability. I thought that was super cool. So there's some scientist down there and he can't get into the lab that he needs to get into. So you'd recognize him. He's like a famous character actor that's pretty much been in every TV show that's ever been made.
Right.
And so he has to go to a payphone that's in the science hallway and he has to call somewhere to get a code to get in. I'm unclear. Basically, what you need to know is the science dude is now distracted on the phone.
Okay.
Now we see that the dorks kind of sneak by him and there's another panel next to a door, and basically JC just hits one button and it like opens and they're like, that was easy, and they walk in. So I don't know why the other scientist couldn't get in, but whatever. Scientist doesn't see them and they go into this creepy lab with lots of buttons, lots of wires, lots of things, and then there's a fucking real life dead dude in a giant vat of liquid, like hooked up to electrodes.
What?
Like it looks like, you know, like suspended animation. Okay. Now, as they were walking down to this room, we find out what the task was that they were told to do.
Okay.
They're supposed to go to the experimental science lab and get a cadaver body and put it on the steps of their rival fraternity. Couple questions.
Okay.
I think that cadaver bodies are kept pretty secure.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know how many college well, no, that's not true. I guess college campuses have cadaver bodies. Like those are the people that are studying
they have
it.
A specific
yeah, I
area
guess.
Like some
sure.
colleges, I'm sure, are more like, we study this.
But
so
I'm sure it's like,
here.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say it's difficult to get to those bodies just for a prank.
I mean, also difficult to like carry that body out. Like, how am I doing this?
Yeah. Well, we'll find out.
Great. I can't wait.
So you see this, you know what your task is, and you see this dead guy in this giant vat of liquid, like suspended animation vat. Okay. You can be JC or Chris. What do you do? And what do they do?
Is my goal to stay alive or to get into the frat?
Your goal is to stay alive. It's to stay alive.
I mean...
So you also probably shouldn't join a frat if you want to stay alive as well. Pledge week kills people.
I'm gonna do like I did in college and not join a sorority and then just hang out with all the frat guys anyway.
You did it right, bitch.
And what did they do? Is that my also a thing I'm answering?
Yep.
I'm gonna say that they start hitting buttons to drain the liquid and open the door of the cadaver guy to try to get him out.
Yes. If you want to stay alive, don't join a frat. Point for you. If you want to have a movie continue, drain the liquid from the vat and get that body out. So
Love it.
that's what they do. Chris wants to leave. Like, he's like, we're not getting this fucking body. We're not doing this. And JC is like, no, let's fucking figure it out. And so he says, he starts looking at the button panel, and he starts figuring out a bunch of information that's like, this is cryogenics. It's so cool. Like, that is a dead guy that they're like keeping in suspended animation or whatever. Like, you can't tell that from what you're looking at, but it's a movie. Again, I don't know if you realize this. I'm not telling you about what I did last night. This is a movie we're watching. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to hit this big red button that says disengage.
Love it.
And this is where I was like, I'm in Killer Clowns, aren't I? So we see him hit the red button with his crutch, and we see Chris go, no! Cut to the scientist. He gets the code he needs and heads downstairs. As he's doing this, they're pulling the body out of the vat, and they're trying to carry him. But it's a body.
Right.
It's super heavy.
Of course.
They're about 5'7", and this body is about 6'2".
And didn't you just say that what's his face has like crutches?
Yes.
Like,
so it's not going well. So as they're trying to carry this body, hand grabs them. And they're like, fuck! And they drop the body and run out of there. And as they run out, they knock over the scientist. And the scientist is like, what the hell? And then like gets up off the ground, sees that the door is open, and like walks in. And he sees the body laying on the floor. And he gets down to inspect the body. How did it choked? And he's getting choked by the body. Cut to. Dorks have run back to their dorm room. I wrote hotel room, and then I was like, what? It's their dorm room. They run back to their dorm room. And JC starts telling him, all I do is put up with your whining. You're so fucking negative about how you're never going to fall in love again after your relationship in high school. And, you know, it's just fucking bullshit. And then you see Bruni, and I think, you know what the hell? I'm never going to get laid myself, so I might as well help my friend. Which is so cute. I'm like, also, why do you think you're not going to like get laid? Like, you're like Robert Downey Jr. vibes coming at me. I guess he's just like, I'm disabled. No one's going to fuck me. It's sad. So he's like, why do I do all of this for you? Because I want you to be happy. And if you take everything so seriously, then you just get depressed, like you. So fuck you. And Chris gets all butthurt, and then he's like, you know what? Fuck you. And JC is like, fuck you. And he's like, I'm going to bed. Can you pass me that pillow? And JC passes him a pillow, and then Chris hits him in the face with the pillow, and they have an adorable little pillow fight. Aww. And it's so cute. So, cut to man in a white suit sitting on a beach with sunglasses.
Okay.
He's being brought a coconut drink by a woman in a bikini.
Love it.
Who's also wearing heels in the sand.
No, she's not.
She's wearing fucking pumps.
How is she walking?
She's attempting to.
In the sand.
Yes. It's very upsetting. It'll all make sense to you in a moment, because I was fucking furious at this. I was like, this is so egregious. Nobody walks in heels in sand. Then we see that the guy in the white suit is looking out to the water, and we see that a woman is coming up from the water, but her hair's not wet. And she comes up further, and she's wearing a prom dress, and her prom dress isn't wet. And he's like looking at it, and he like takes his glasses off, and like something weird is happening. And all of a sudden now he's a cop, and he's approaching a vehicle, and in front of that vehicle is a man in a hospital gown chopping someone to pieces in that car. And he's looking at it, and he pulls out his gun, and he says, freeze. And that man chopping turns around, and it's terrifying skeleton face. Wakes up.
Dream.
Got it. That's the only reason anyone would be wearing pumps in the sand, is if it's a fucking dream. Skeleton chopping someone up.
Honestly. Nightmare.
Honestly, a nightmare.
Let's be real.
It was just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So he's woken up by the phone. So he answers the phone and he answers it and goes, "Thrill me." Which is the only way that I'll ever be answering the phone from now on. Ever again.
Which is pretty much never, because who talks on the phone anymore?
I'm only going to take
Thrill me.
Thrill me.
I'm going to start answering all my fucking robocalls like that now.
Oh my God, let's
Thrill me.
Oh my God, let's do it. That's going to be great. And we're going to be put on like a do not call list by the robocallers.
I'm just gonna get in a little 80s persona.
I fucking love
and talk to these robocallers.
You're gonna love them
about
even more.
my IRS payment due or whatever the fuck they bullshit about.
So he's on the phone and the phone says the experimental lab at the college was broken into. So cut to a scene where some cops are taking pics of the scientist's body in the lab.
Who's taking a picture of the scientist body? Cops.
The scientist's body in the lab. And I thought of Karen and Georgia when I saw this because people are just walking all over the scene. Like they're just walking around, putting their DNA all which way. Detective Cameron is who was having the dream. And he comes into the lab. He arrives in his pajamas with an overcoat on, and he walks in and goes, "Thrill me."
Yes.
And they're explaining what happened. And they're like, "We had a body on ice since 1959.
Oh, shit.
And he says, "Is this a homicide or a bad B movie?"
Zing.
He's got so many one-liners, dude.
Way to be
and
way to be aware of yourself, movie.
And so my feeling about this is like he's friends with a horror movie scriptwriter, and this horror movie scriptwriter was like, "I want to write you a fucking movie where you can just chew the scenery and just have like great one-liners.
Fun.
And like this is just going to be your playground." And he takes him up on it.
He has fun. He plays.
So many one-liners. And he's like, "Where's the other body?" And they're like, "We don't know." And he's like, "I was told there were 2 bodies, and now you're telling me you don't know where the other body is. What the fuckity fuck?" He's real mad. And he says, "Now are you going to straighten this out, or am I going to have to play Poo Patrol with your nightstick?" And I was like, let's take that back to the writer's room, shall we?
Does that mean shove it up your ass?
I think it means shove it up your ass.
Yeah, no,
For
we're
Poo
going to have to, if you could go like
rewrite that, rethink it, redo
What's the word for like when you're like, I'm going to need you to
rewrite it?
How about it's like rework it.
Yeah.
Why don't you rework that and come back to me?
Yeah. So
I'm going to rework what I just said
I'm
and come back to me.
Eric, if you could just rework that in post, that would be
good when you have to talk about your joke for 3 minutes and then be like, that's what I meant.
Nothing funnier than explaining a joke.
Great.
So now we cut to some bare feet walking around campus. All we see is bare feet. Cut to Bruno Cynthia getting dropped off by frat Brad at her sorority house. And he's like, "Sorry, babe. I got some serious frat business. And I've got to call it a night." Yeah. And Cynthia's like bummed. Like she's sad. Like she walks in like, da, na, 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 na. She's real sad. So we walk into the sorority house and there's extras everywhere. And there was one set of extras, Kim. Oh, God. They're standing by the entrance to the door. And it's a guy and a girl. And he's got his arms resting on her shoulders, with his hands clasped behind her neck. But they're both just standing perfectly still. And they want it to look like they're talking, but they're just going like this. Rah, 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 rah. And like, I just was like, they're in the shot. They're more in the shot than she is. Like, I was like, can we just, is that somebody's nephew? Like, what's going on? I wrote, extras and sorority standing perfectly still in mid-strangle. So we're mingling about the sorority, just kind of seeing life in the sorority house. And then all of a sudden we see the den mother peek her head out disapprovingly from a door. So now I have a question for you. This is an actual question. I don't know the answer. how do den mothers work?
We've discussed this on this podcast.
But I have more questions about this because here's what I don't understand.
I mean, I had a question about it too because I was like, how do den mothers work?
Because I'm like, is there a vow of... Okay, here are 3 options. You ready? There's either a vow of silence that they take where they like allow college kids to be college kids. Or there's some sort of sacred confidentiality clause, like for doctors, where they just like don't tell on them for doing college things. Or you're fucking basically living in a house with a parent.
Okay. Well, once again, we didn't have sorority or frat houses in our college.
Yeah.
Because we had because of the brothel law.
Right. Which we've talked
Baltimore.
about. We talked about it in
Black Christmas.
Yeah.
Black Christmas must have existed before we had our Patreon, because Patreon is where we post mortem things to be like, we have a question about this. Let's find out about it.
Yes, I think
and we'll talk about it on our Patreon. So we'll actually do that now, I think.
But I want to find a den mother.
I think that it's someone who was in the sorority at some point. Almost always. It's a member of the sorority.
Okay.
Already.
Okay. All
so
right.
like that's a thing.
Okay.
I don't know if they have them anymore, but that is a question that I don't know the answer to because we didn't have that.
All right.
We didn't have houses when we went to school or like at our location.
If anyone could point us to someone who was or is a den mother, I have so many questions.
And then I think like it was mostly to make sure like people don't die.
People don't die. So
But,
maybe
like, not much else,
the sort of
I
like
think.
clause of confidentiality might be closer to what is happening. Just
Because
I'm
like I
they have,
mean,
like,
if
fucking
you're an
parties and shit.
adult knowing that people are drinking underage, do you have to tell anyone? No, you don't.
I guess you don't.
Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's no clause of confidentiality. It's just
But
like,
this lady's an old lady. Like she's like 75.
yeah, that I
Years
don't know. But
Yeah.
you know, I think Kristen's friend Hera would
Is
know.
a den mother?
No, I don't think she's a den mother, but she's like like her job
Is
today
sororities.
is in her sorority.
Okay.
Actually, like whatever her profession is
sorority
sorority based.
Sorority based. Okay. Hera, if you could contact us
Hera, thank
immediately.
you.
Thank you.
So, I don't know. We'll post more on this.
We'll find out. Yeah.
Again, we 100% talked about it
But
in
this
Black
is
Christmas being like, what
specifically about
happened?
I need to interview a den mother for the postmortem. Okay. So
I look forward to it.
this fucking
Join our
episode is going to
Patreon.
be 4 hours long. Okay.
Great.
So
I'm just eating fruit the whole time.
I love it. So, oh my God, you just ASMR'd me so hard. So Cynthia's walking up the stairs and she seems in some sort of place of authority because then another sister comes in with a grocery bag with no handles on it, with a bunch of what appears to be like mason jars inside those grocery bags. And she's like, can I store these in our basement? They're for our biology class. And she's like, I mean, I guess, what are they? And she's like, they're brains. They're human brains.
Your favorite.
Yeah. But I'm also like, you please put your brains in something other than like mason jars in grocery bags in a sorority basement. I need human brains to be like in a sterile vat, or body refrigerator of some kind.
I mean, I've seen brain pieces just chilling on some.
Have you?
I mean, in museums and shit. That
But they're
fucking
like
gross
in
ass.
formaldehyde or some shit. And they're
I just
there
assumed
for,
that's what was in this mason jar. No, they were not in a liquidy substance.
They're in
this
a
mason jar?
liquidy. We couldn't
they're
really
good.
see them, but what I'm saying is like they don't look secure. Those
They
are
don't
for
need to be in.
display.
They don't need to be
only.
refrigerated.
But those are in display only. I feel like if you are going to dissect them, you need to. I don't want brains just lying around. I
don't see
want
the
some
problem.
brain protocol.
I don't see the problem. I don't know. You seem to be a real brain surgeon.
A brain stickler? I'm a real brain stickler. I want my brains
That
in
was
heads.
that was a
or
callback to me calling sergeants surgeons.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So she's like, sure, but just keep them in the basement. So now Bruni Cynthia is up in her room and she's sad. Cut to another shot of cold bare feet walking around. Back to Bruni in her room taking off her shirt. Cut to another sister in another part of the house who's sitting down on a couch to read a book. And she hears a quiet knock or like a noise at these French doors right in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
She goes and she slowly opens it up. No one's outside. And then she hears, "Ow," and looks down. It's her kitty cat. And the cat like lunges at her, but like to be picked up. So she's like holding the cat in front of her and she's like, "Hi, princess." Cut to more bare feet walking through the campus, walking by windows. Then we get her. It is the 80s after all, so I do want to let you know we're about to have gratuitous Bruni Cynthia boobs.
Of course.
Where she inexplicably, for no reason, has to turn to the camera as she's taking off her shirt to show us her breasts. But then she hears someone at the window. And we see she's on the second floor. And this shot looks very similar to another shot we've seen. So she looks out her first window, doesn't see anyone. Same window from the first scene. She hears it again, walks to the next window, all in her room. Her room is fucking huge. Nothing. Then all of a sudden, creep! There's a naked dead guy who hands her a rose smiling. She backs away, does not scream. I was like, this bitch is unflappable, I guess. And at the window, he smiles and she is kind of like, and then his head splits open.
What?
And slugs, giant slugs, come shooting out of it. And we just see all the slugs like scurrying under the house because like basically he's somehow gotten up onto the balcony sort of.
Okay.
And she hasn't like opened the window, so the slugs kind of like shoot out of him but like can't get in to the window, right?
Okay.
So the slugs come out and like scurry away under the house and shit. Here comes Detective Cameron to the sorority house.
Okay.
He walks onto the scene and says,
Thrill me.
There's a body under a sheet. They pull off the sheet.
What?
And the head is completely split open. It's the naked body that just had the slugs come out of it.
The guy?
Yeah.
Oh.
And Detective Cameron, like, we can see that like shakes him. That like what he sees under the sheet.
Okay.
So now Detective Cameron goes around to the back of the sorority
And
house.
we saw clearly a naked body guy.
Yeah.
Was it the same naked body guy from the suspended animation?
We're to believe so, yes.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
But
just making sure.
But it's not like said.
Completely clear. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So but they had been
But
like,
now it's done so.
yeah. And like they had been looking for this second body. So it's like,
Right.
and he's naked and, you
Right,
know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
we're like, yes, this is the body. But like, obviously, like the sorority sisters don't know that that's who
No,
it is.
yeah,
And like,
yeah.
nobody really knows. So Detective Cameron goes around in the back and he's looking at this house that's a smaller house that's behind the big sorority house for like a long time. And there's this couple that's making out. And he's like, what is this supposed to be? And they're like, it's supposed to be the den mother's house. It's the house mother's cottage. And then they like walk away. He keeps looking at it. All of a sudden we see flashbacks to a shovel digging a body in a bag. Then all of a sudden another detective comes up and snaps him out of his flashback. And Detective Cameron says to the other detective, does that look like it could have been done with an axe? And the other detective says, man, that psycho disappeared 27 years ago. So he's clearly like all fucked up. Cut to someone reading the paper the next morning. And it says, decapitated body found on campus. Like basically the head split open so fucking much that it like was considered a decapitation because it was just like pfft. So the dorks are walking around campus and they're then cornered by the frat guys that gave them the assignment to go get a fucking body. And the frat brothers are pissed because they think that the dorks put that body there because it ended up on the stairs of the sorority house. And they're like, we told you to fucking put it on, Phi Beta fucktards porch, not the girls' porch. You freaked all these bitches out. And JC stands up to them and is like, fuck you, fuck off. We didn't want to fucking join your frat anyway.
Yeah.
Also, we didn't fucking do that. We went there and then we chickened out. We didn't put any fucking body any fucking anywhere. And then he like walks away. And I'm like, JC is like, fuck yeah. I'm like feeling this little bitch. Like, I love him. I'm like into, well, you know me with Robert Downey Jr., those big bug eyes and like the talks too much. Like, it's my husband. And he tries to walk away, and fucking frat Brad kicks his crutch out from under him.
Fuck you, frat Brad.
Cynthia Bruni is right there, and she gets pissed. And she's like, Brad, don't. And then like he turns to her, and she flips him off, but she does it by like cranking her finger up, and then everyone claps. And I'm like, Bruni, Cynthia.
All right, girl.
And she walks up to the dorks and apologizes for Brad. And so now...
But also break up with it.
Right. So now they actually get to meet, because before it had just been JC that had met Bruni Cynthia. And so now she gets to meet Chris. Cut to... Oh, no, it doesn't cut to anything. They're just... The three of them are talking, and then a detective walks up. And it's not Detective Cameron, it's the other detective, Detective Landis. And he picks them up. Now we cut to them being questioned in like an interrogation room. The two dorks being questioned in an interrogation room by Detective Cameron. And he's like, this janitor, he's got a janitor with him, says that he saw you last night running 40 miles per hour screaming like banshees. And there was a little bit of racism here because the janitor is Asian, and like all they had him do was just kind of like repeat back the phrase 40 miles per hour screaming like a banshee with like a generic Asian accent over and over again and finding it really funny. And I was like, we didn't need to do this. But it's the 80s. So JC tries to be like, we didn't do it. Chris is an idiot and is like, nope, we did it. But we chickened out though. Like, we didn't take the body anywhere. We got it out of the vat, but we didn't do shit. And he's like, we didn't move it from the lab. So now we're in cut to another lab, and there's a scientist doing sciencey things, and behind him we see that there's a body on a slab behind him, and all of a sudden the body sits up. It's the fucking other scientist from the beginning.
Whoa.
He sits up and he walks the fuck out of the lab, like behind the guy. The guy doesn't see him. And at one point he looks dead as fuck. I was actually really impressed with the practical makeup of the zombies, because like it was pretty good. It was pretty creepy. And he like walks past a dude that's reading the paper as he walks past. So he's just like, see you tomorrow. Like doesn't realize it's a zombie. Then we cut to the janitor that saw the dorks running out. Right. And he cleans the science wing or whatever. So he's got his little bucket and he's still laughing about screaming like banshees with a mildly Asian accent, when all of a sudden scientist comes out from behind a corner and the janitor screams like a banshee. I'm sure that was supposed to be the joke. Cut to a slug slithering across the yard of the sorority. Cut to inside the sorority, and there's two sisters that are walking next to each other, and one says to the other, hey, has anyone told Ursula, whatever the fuck her name is, about her cat? And the other one says, no, it would break her heart. And I'm like, if something happened to my cat, please tell me. Like, I need to know. So now we're at a payphone in the sorority. I guess there's like one phone. It's the 80s. There's maybe one phone. And one of the girls picks up and they're like, Cynthia, it's for you. She gets on the phone and Brad's on the other line. He's like, hey, it's Bradster.
Ugh.
And she's like, I don't want to talk to you. And he gets like super aggro about it. And she's like, I never liked you. Or he's like, no. he gets super aggro and he's like, I never fucking liked you anyway. You know how they get. Now we cut to the cat girl in her little reading room, and she hears a little knock at the door again. So she gets up to let her kitty cat in. And her kitty cat's right there, and she picks up her kitty cat. Zombie cat!
Oh, no.
And we see it, and it's like, "Meow." And I'm like, oh, it's so sad. But he's still alive, so it's like, I'd love a zombie cat.
Is it sad?
Yeah. Cut to Detective Cameron.
Like, is he trying to eat me?
We're unsure.
Right.
We don't know. So we cut to Detective Cameron, and he's looking at old crime scene photos of a body. We don't know what it is, but he's like kind of like drunkenly looking at them. He looks disturbed. Then he picks up the phone and says,
Thrill me.
and they're like, we got another body, dude. It's another fucking scientist, and it doesn't have a goddamn head again. And so we're with the body, and we see slugs slithering away from the body. But nobody else sees them. And they're like, God damn it. Detective Cameron has fucking had it. He's had it with these fucking dead bodies. He's tired of being thrilled. He's out of here. Cut to the dorks in their room, and JC is air drumming while Chris is trying to study, and he's super annoyed. And they get a knock on the door. It's Bruni Cynthia. Chris answers the door, and he's like, hello. And she's like, would it be out of the question to ask if you wanted to go for a walk? And so all three of them go for a walk. And I'm like, JC, this is where you
back off, bro. This is where you back off.
This is where you stay in the room and air drum. Okay.
Yeah.
And by air drum, never mind. I was going to make a masturbation joke, but I don't need to. So.
But you could.
But I could.
And
I
should.
did. Air drum yourself, bro.
Yes.
So all three of them are walking, and she's like, some weird shit is going on. I fucking saw them bury that cat. So the fact that then Ursula comes screaming in about her fucking cat, I saw them bury the cat. And JC is like, maybe she was on drugs. And I'm like, maybe, but also that doesn't explain the cat coming back to life. And she's like, also, how do I say this? I haven't told anyone this, but that body that they found outside of my sorority, yeah, it came to my window, and I didn't know who else to talk to about it. And she kind of leans into him, and Chris picks up on the cue and like puts his arm around her, and she's kind of like nuzzling into his chest, so like she can't see, but they do sort of like a high five with their eyeballs, an eye five, if you will,
an eye five.
And this is when JC realizes like he's got to peace out, so as not to cock block. And as he's walking away by himself, under his breath, he just goes, "Go for it, partner. I mean, she's lost her fucking marbles, but go for it." It was really cute. And so she continues to talk, and she's like, I think it was a zombie, and slugs came out of his head. And Chris is like, maybe I should walk you home. And you can tell that he's like, I still really want to fuck this bitch, but like she's talking crazy. But he's trying to be sweet. Cut to the hallway with JC. A hallway, doesn't matter. And he's walking to the bathroom. He's going into the bathroom. As he goes into the bathroom, we see the janitor come around the corner. But now he's zombie janitor.
Oh.
Cut to Chris walking Bruni Cynthia home. And we see that someone is following them. But we don't know who, because we just see feet. These feet have shoes on, but only feet regardless. Cut back to JC in a bathroom stall, and he's just like doodling on the wall as he takes a shit. And he hears this weird sound outside of the stall door, and he can't really put his finger on it, and I can't really either. It sounds like a growl or like something ripping, something between those two things. And he's still in the toilet. And he very slowly like opens the stall door. Exploded janitor head. The janitor's body is on the floor and his head is exploded off.
Whoa.
And he sees slugs crawling everywhere. So he closes the door and starts trying to pull up his pants really fast. And then he sees that he dropped a book of matches on the ground and it's like just past the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
He slowly goes to pick up the book of matches. And at this point, I'm like, why? Why do you need the book of matches? I don't understand what's happening. Why do you even have a book of matches? Then I'm like, maybe he lights it after he takes a shit. Whatever. But I'm like, leave the matches, bro. Mm-hmm. So he goes to pick them up. And as he reaches for it, slug! And it like hurts his hand. But like, he just is like, what was that? Ow, kind of thing. Okay. So you don't know what these things are. Exploded janitor head outside your stall door, book of matches. What do you do? What does he do?
Did I get the matches?
No, but like it looks like they might be a little bit closer to you now, or at least haven't moved.
But they're like in a place, like I don't need to reach outside the doorway anymore. It's like inside my stall.
Mostly, yeah.
Okay. How big are the slugs?
Do you know the size of an actual banana slug?
No.
I would say they're about half the size of this fan, which our listeners can't see. Maybe 6 inches by 3 inches.
It's bigger than I thought.
Yeah, 6 inches by 3 inches, I would say.
I don't like that.
Oh, no, they're gross. Also, did you know that there's a fucking college in like Oregon where their actual mascot is a banana slug?
Go banana slugs!
Go banana slugs!
Okay. Wow, they're bigger than I thought. I don't like that at all.
And they're fast.
Okay, but
so the zombies are slow. The slugs are fast.
Regardless, I'm still a big human person.
You are.
And they're still little slugs on the ground, basically. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to get up and leave. And if any of them come near me, I'm going to step on them.
Okay. And what does he do?
I think he, like, for some reason really needs to grab the matches and maybe tries to light one of them on fire or something. But also to try to leave. The goal is to leave, I think.
That was 1.5 points.
Oh.
You got 1 point for him. You got a 0.5 point for you because the slugs are very fast and want to get inside of you.
Oh, I didn't know they wanted to get inside me.
That's why because they keep exploding out of people, out of their heads, like coming out of their heads and stuff. So 0.5 point for you only because they want to get inside your orifices and are fast. So you would have to just be conscious of your holes.
Right.
He does want to light it on fire. And good thing he does. He manages to light the entire book on fire and sticks his hand out because he knows that like they kind of charge when he does that. Mm-hmm. And they charge the fire and it like immediately incinerates them.
Nice.
Like right away. Lights it on fire. As he's looking at the charred slug, we see a slug crawls up his pant leg. Oh, no. And he's like, fuck! Then he tries crawling out of the bathroom, but again, he's disabled. So it's like he can't move that quickly and his crutches, he's dropped his crutches. So there are slugs fucking everywhere.
Oh.
Cut to sorority house outside. And Chris and Bruni Cynthia are talking like outside the door. And she's like, maybe I'm nuts. Also, will you go with me to the formal?
Oh.
And Chris is like, what about Brad? And she's like, Brad's an asshole. And he's like, but I thought he was your boyfriend. And I'm like, shh, Chris, shush. Stop asking so much. This is your moment. Stop. What about? She's asking you to the fucking formal. Go with it. Doesn't matter about Brad. She's making her own decisions.
Right.
Get boned. Do this. So finally he says,
fall in love.
Yeah. So finally,
maybe she's your person.
Yeah. So finally he's like, yes. Actually, he doesn't say yes. She just like kind of asserts herself and is just like, I'll see you at 7. And I'm like, yes, bitch. Yes. So she goes in. He walks away. Detective Cameron. And he's like basically repeating back things that they were talking about all night. So Detective Cameron was the one who was following them the whole time. And he's repeating back parts of their conversation to him because he's suspicious of them with all the bodies showing up and everything. And Chris is obviously like peeing his pants. Like he's a little baby man. And he's just like, why is the detective talking to me? Cut to Detective Cameron back with Chris at his own place, and he's like feeding Chris whiskey. And he's asking him all these weird questions. He's like, so you had a high school sweetheart that broke your heart, huh? And Chris is like, yeah, but I blew it. And he's like, I had one of those too, and I blew it. And he's like, I decided to become a cop. And this is where I'm like, oh, he's the cop from the beginning. I hopefully told it to you in a way that was slightly more clear, but like as I was taking notes, it was not clear to me as it was happening. Maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know. Maybe everyone got it, but I didn't get it till right here. And he's like, I became a cop. I was a rookie. I got my first call out to the woods. I get there. It was my ex-girlfriend getting chopped up by a fucking serial killer, crazy person murderer. And he's like, but then what happened next is the fun part. And he says, I tracked him. I found him. I shot him in the chest. Whoa. And Chris is sitting on the couch drinking whiskey. And he goes, should you be telling me all this? And he's like, I wrapped his body up. I buried him in a vacant lot.
What?
But that vacant lot isn't vacant anymore. Now there's a house mother's cottage on top of it.
Holy fuck.
And Chris says, I don't mean to be rude, but other than kind of wanting to confess to a murder, is there a point to this story? And Detective Cameron is like, that's what I'm trying to figure out. So it's like these scenes are actually like, they're ridiculous, but like the dialogue and the acting was like pretty good. Like I was like, okay, let's I'm into it. So cut to house mother's cottage.
Uh-oh.
She's falling asleep at the TV. And her dog, hears something. Knocking on the door? Knocking on the walls? What is it? The dog's kind of freaking out. And then it stops. Den mother falls back to sleep. Another sound. The dog starts whimpering and clawing at the floor. And we realize the knocking is coming from under the floorboards. Someone is trying to get up from under the floorboards. Kim, what do you do and what does Den mother do?
Okay. I mean, I'm the den mother of a house that just had a dead body outside of it. So I'm going to get the fuck out of there. I'm going to take my dog and immediately leave and call the police. And she is going to be like, oh my gosh, is there like a raccoon or something under the house? Let me go look under the house.
1 point for you. What you didn't get what she does. And even as not proactive as I could tell you were trying to be, she's even less proactive. She literally just sits there staring at it as a fucking axe comes up through her floorboards with wide eyes. I mean, she's old. Maybe she just was like, I can't.
This is it.
I don't know.
Here we are.
She does literally nothing. So
she's just like, thrill me.
Right. Thrill me. So then whatever is coming up from her floorboards makes it up. And it's a fucking like disintegrated, decomposing skeleton face man. Kind of like almost like a more realistic version of like the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt. Like that kind of look. But it was like, again, not bad practical effects for this movie. And so he comes up from the floorboards and then axes the house mother in the face directly to the head. Cut to Detective Cameron getting a phone call. And he's like, fucking thrill me. God damn it. He just grabs his gun and some other shit and he hops in the cop car. Backup is there too. Oh, and calls for backup as he's in the car driving. I think that Chris is with him as well, but I can't fully remember and I didn't write it down, but I think Chris is with him. So they pull up to the cottage and the first cop walks out of the cabin and I was like, thank you, sir, because what he says, he's like, the dog ran off as soon as we opened the door. And I was like, oh, good, the dog got away. So then another guy comes out and he's like, if we used a different stretcher for every piece of her, we'd be here all night. And I'm like, that's a dead body, sir. That is a human being that was just chopped into pieces. Detective Cameron is shook as fuck. Like, he looks unwell. Cut to other cops that he sent out to be like, find him. They're driving through the streets with one of those like big industrial flashlights, and they're kind of driving slow and they're just like shining the flashlight into bushes and things like that. And then the cop in the passenger seat is like, this is stupid. Let's go. So the cop in the driver's seat kind of speeds up a little bit. And as he speeds up, he sees, what was that? And so he stops the car. And the guy in the passenger seat goes, what the fuck did you stop for? Keep going. And because he stopped, fucking dude with an axe comes up to the side of the car, lifts his axe, and then the guy turns and he's like, hit it! And they screech away.
Shit.
A zombie with axe almost drops him. Okay. So then they hear the cops at the house hear on the backup, they found the fucker. And Detective Cameron's like, get the 12 gauge out of my car. They've now cornered Skeleton Man in an alley. There's like 12 fucking cops. Fucking Detective Cameron is like, I've got you, motherfucker. And he's like, you son of a bitch. I already killed you once. And the skeleton turns around and he's got a creepy smile. Kim, you've got him cornered. You've already killed him once.
Oof.
What do you do and what does he do?
What do I have? A gun?
You have all the guns.
Okay. I mean, I think that we blow him to bits, but specifically make sure he is decapitated.
Okay. Decapitated. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a clue for you, and then you have to tell me what they do. When the head is destroyed, what still happens?
Slugs come out.
What do we know about slugs?
Oh, they attack us. And then we start shooting at them, I guess.
Okay.
Or we all become zombied.
Great. So your answer is what be will be, and we all become zombies. Got it.
But he doesn't know that at the time.
But you do. So that's why we have a what do you do and what does he do?
Yeah, but I'm him.
But you're
You
also
always
you.
get these rules confused.
But you're
Ketrin.
also you. I'm just saying you do know that you already killed him once.
Okay. How do I stop a zombie?
I'm trying to keep you the fuck alive.
I don't know how to stop zombies who
Are
don't
slugged?
die. I don't know how to slap slum zombies. Slap slug zombies.
Kim's getting sleepy with the slop slug slum flames.
Okay.
She's thinking real hard because she's holding her boobs.
That's when I do my best thinking. Okay. Okay, wait. Okay. But I have some ideas, but they're only because I've seen other parts of the movie that they haven't seen. Is that okay? Seems unfair?
I guess I'm coming at it from like my place of eternal vengeance, where it's like I already killed this fucker once. I personally would not be satisfied just shooting him in the head.
No, I said we shot him with all the guns.
All the guns.
Like
Okay.
we shot him 2 bits.
Okay.
Is I think specifically what I said.
Okay.
And then specifically his head came off. But I guess I will try to light him on fire as well. I mean, at this point, I guess I'll light him on fire if I can.
Yeah, because I guess you were saying like I get confused with the rules, but it's like I'm currently in a horror movie and it's like something that doesn't die, I'm gonna try multiple ways to kill it. Like I'm gonna shoot it, then I'm gonna separate its parts, then I'm gonna ship them to other parts of the world, and then I'm going to light those parts on fire.
Normally I would try to stop zombies by decapitating them. That's where I would go first.
Okay.
I don't think I know that slugs are inside.
Right.
But since I guess I do, even though I
Sort of.
don't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna light him on
You
fire.
to get slugged. I feel nervous for you. What do you do? Okay. And what does he do?
He is angry, and
He's real pissed.
Or are we in a car of any sort?
We're like in an alley. He's like cornered in an alley.
I think he just shoots him to bits too.
Yeah. Shoots him in the head, makes his head explode. But I think the issue that I'm having is like the slugs aren't stealthy when they crawl out of people's heads.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why is nobody dealing with these slugs that we're all seeing crawl out of people's heads?
But we've all only seen them like one time.
We saw them with the scientist. They were in the hallway when the slugs crawled out, and they just like nobody acknowledged them.
The cops were?
Detective Cameron was. Yeah. That's why I was like, why are we not talking about these slugs? Okay, so 2 points for you. So Detective Cameron blows his fucking head off. Slugs come out and scamper away.
Right.
So now we're back at school the next day, and Chris is carrying a tux in like a garment bag. And he says to one of his dorm mates, he's like, have you seen JC? He never came home last night. Cut to sorority house getting ready montage with like a fucking
Love it.
amazing 80s
Give it
montage,
to me.
80s song.
I'm all here for it.
Then we see slugs. Then we see
I'm not here for
frat
slugs.
house getting ready montage. But their getting ready is like putting on sunglasses with their tuxes and taking pictures where they point at the camera. That's them getting ready.
And doing beer bongs.
And then doing beer bongs. And then we see more slugs. So we're like, ha ha, hairspray. Ha ha, douche dudes. Slugs. Slugs. All over a really cool 80s montage music. So then we see Chris go into his dorm room and he puts his garment bag down and then he sees a recorder with a note taped to it. And the note says, listen. So it's like, what the fuck?
Like
So
a cassette tape recorder, not a hot cross buns recorder.
Right. No, not like a recorder, hot cross buns. So he picks it up and he plays the tape. And Kim, I I cried at this. This is where I was like, what am I? I thought I was watching Killer Clowns, but I'm not. It's JC's voice. Okay. And he says, there's one inside me. I think it's in my mouth. No. I can feel it. It's in my brain.
Oh, baby.
I don't have a pulse, man. Or a heartbeat. I think I'm dead. I did kill one with a match. I think fire will kill it. I've gone to the furnace room. Heat'll kill him.
Baby.
But I walked, man. All by myself.
Oh, God.
I walked.
Oh, my God.
And then he says, I love you. Good luck with Cynthia. Can you fucking believe that? Like, I was like, no, you can't do this out of the you can't have a B-80s horror movie and then fucking pull this shit with me. It was so sweet. And I was just like, boys telling each other that they love them. And like in the 80s, like that wasn't a thing. And like having a disabled person that's just like like living his life like a normal person, you know, like occasionally there was like a mild joke about it, but not really, like not at all. And I was just like, oh my, you can't sneak up on me like that.
I love it.
Cut to Chris running to the furnace room.
Oh, sweet baby.
He goes down to the furnace room and we just see JC's body charred to bits, burned to a crisp. Oh. And Chris starts crying. It's like, what the fuck am I watching?
I'm crying.
Now we cut to the frat bus. Mood ruined. Because they're just like, I'm in a frat. And they're all in like their formal tuxes, which like it literally looked like my prom, dude, where it's like they're wearing like the white tux jackets with like bright colored cummerbunds that match their neon sunglasses. Barf. And I was like, get me out of here. So they're on the bus, headed to the fucking formal. And one of the frat brothers is like, where's Frat Brad? And he's like, he's not going because Cynthia blew him off. And there's like, that sucks, dude. Come on. And then they get on the bus.
You're such a good 80s frat guy.
Thank you. So then they cut to Frat Brad. And he's walking around drunk on campus with a beer. And he throws the beer at Bruni Cynthia's sorority house. He's like, bitch. And then slugs scamper by. And he's like, what? Where are slugs? And so he bends down. So I just examine these slugs. And then a dog walks up.
Uh-oh.
Hey, doggy. Sup? What are you doing? Did you see the slugs? And he looks at him. Slug jumps out of dog's mouth into Frat Brad's mouth.
Oh,
He got slugged. So now we're should I do that for my reel?
That's
should
my
I be
favorite thing you've ever done in this podcast so far.
Drunk Frat Brad?
To date. I wish I video recorded it.
Maybe I'll recreate it.
Hey, dog, you see a slug?
Did you see a slug stuck? There's slugs all over the place. So we're back on the frat bus. We're back on the frat bus.
Get rid of the drunk now.
And
the rest of this tale is going to be drunk.
Yeah, I'm going to tell a tale like fucking drunk frat brat slug. So the bus is pulling away and the bus driver is so mad at his job, which understandably so. And so we cut to Detective Cameron, and he's drinking in his apartment.
Thrill me.
He's like, throw me the slug.
Thrill me, slug.
Slug me, sluggers. And he gets a knock on the door. It's Chris.
Uh-oh.
and he's crying.
Oh, Chris.
Just crying. Just no trying to be fucking masculine. None of that. Just crying.
Love when men cry.
I love
feel
it.
Their feelings.
And he's
it's
like,
my favorite thing
and he says,
in the world.
They got him. And he just tells him everything that JC told him in his tape. Cut to Detective Cameron with a gun in his kitchen, and he's just kind of like pacing with this like rifle, and we see that he turns the oven on and turns it like all the way up. Then leaves. Back to frat bus debauchery, and the bus driver's like, settle the fuck down. He's so mad, and he like kind of turns to be like, shut the fuck up, motherfuckers. And when he turns back, there's a dog in the middle of the street.
Uh-oh.
So he's like, "Arr!" Swerves, crash. Frat brothers fucking dead as doornails.
What?
Body parts everywhere.
Wow.
Turned over bus. Everybody's dead.
Whoa. That's an intense crash.
Yeah. Zombie dog. Well, they weren't wearing seatbelts, and they were all drunk. So they were just like, this is why you wear seatbelts. Or at least sit in your seat quietly until we arrive at our destination.
Okay, bye.
So the zombie dog is just like, and then he just walks over to the crash site.
Right. Investigates.
Goodbye. Back with Detective Cameron and Chris. They are at the police weapon store. I don't know. It's like behind some sort of cage.
Oh,
and
yeah. The police weapons
cage store.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay. So Detective Cameron is like, hello, police clerk.
Yeah, I gotta get some stuff.
I need some weapons. Kim,
Yes.
what weapon
Okay.
does he ask for from the police weapon store man? And what weapon do you ask for from the police weapon store man? You can make this shit up because I don't know what fucking police weapons are there. So
I only get one?
yes, you do. You only get one.
I'm gonna choose a flamethrower.
Okay. You are choosing a flamethrower.
Yeah.
Okay. What's
Fuck. I think he's either gonna also do a flamethrower or something that makes fire, or something that can make gas that can explode in gas. It's like what would that be?
a gas exploder?
A gas exploder. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Can I have your top-notch gas exploder,
exploder.
please? No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Like if my house was full of gas and I shot something into it and it would explode like a bomb.
A match? He's asking for a match. I'll have one single match, please.
Then because Chris told him something that makes fire. We're both getting flamethrowers hand in hand.
Hand in hand?
We did?
Flamethrower.
Fucking thank
Yeah.
God.
So he's like, I need a flamethrower. And the police clerk store man is like, there you go. And he's like, be careful the pilot doesn't go out. And he's like, I'm just going to need that requisition form from you. And our old Detective Cameron chews some scenery and says, yeah, about that form. And as he's doing it, he's loading his gun real slowly like. And he's like, I'm not going to have that form for you. Hope that's okay. And then points the gun at this dude's face.
Whoa.
And I'm like, Detective Cameron is losing it. And like police store clerk weapon man is just like, just take the flamethrower, dude.
Okay.
Like what the actual fuck? Like
But I'm
on
probably
the night
gonna
shift.
report this.
I'm definitely gonna report this. So gets his flamethrower. Back at the bus. Zombie dog looking at all those dead bodies. Climbs right on into that crash.
Yeah, he does.
So now we're back.
He's getting his
He's getting his guttons. So now we hear a bang on the sorority house door. It's Brad. Brad's here. Zombie Brad. Now, just to be clear, Kim, let's pretend you and I live in a house, okay? My ex-boyfriend
We've done
shows
that
up.
before.
Yeah, we have. My ex-boyfriend shows up.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to be more observant.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to know whether or not my boyfriend looks like a zombie or not.
Right.
So I need you to look at the color of his eyes. I need you to look at his decomposition state.
Is it just me and you, or is it me, you, and like 27 other people? Because then I'm like, I don't know. That's a lot of ex-boyfriends to keep track of.
But also, don't you know what zombies look like?
I'm busy.
You're busy. Okay. All right. Well, maybe don't answer the door then.
Okay.
I'll take care of answering the door because zombie Brad looks very zombied. And Cynthia's roommate is like, Cindy, Brad's here. And so
I feel her.
Yeah. Cynthia Bruni comes down the stairs in her like pink formal dress. And bitch doesn't see that he's zombied either.
Okay, well, I mean, that,
but I'm like, bitches,
that you need to,
were you pre-gaming?
Okay.
You can't pre-game. You cannot pre-game so much that you cannot identify zombies. That is survival tip number 357 is you cannot drink so much that you cannot identify zombies.
That's a good rule.
Yeah. So she walks outside and she looks kind of melancholy, you know, like she's like, I'm going to have to end this. And she's kind of walking a little bit in front of him slightly, like they're kind of holding hands, and like she's walking a little bit in front, and she sits down on the steps and he sits down on the steps too, but like a step above her, so she's like not looking at him. He's like behind her a little, and she's like, I was gonna call, I'm really sorry that this didn't work out, you know, but sometimes things like this, blah blah blah, and she's just giving him the blah blah blahs. We see that there's some motherfucking slugs crawling out of his damn mouth. And this is where I'm like, you need to keep your wits about you to see if people are zombied or if slugs are crawling in and out of their orifici. Like, you cannot be so drunk that you cannot identify those two things. So she's breaking up with zombie, slug shooting out of his mouth. Here comes Chris with a flamethrower. And he walks straight the fuck up to her and he's like, Cindy, get away! As he does that,
Chris,
fucking zombie Brad's head splits open, slugs everywhere, flame thrown right at him. And he like fucking flame throws frat zombie Brad to smithereens. Detective Cameron. Chris. So Detective Cameron busts into the sorority house to be like, bitches, chill out. We got zombies, we got slugs. I need your cooperation. Cindy is in shock. And Chris walks up and hands her a rifle and he's like, here you go. This will make you feel better. And I'm like, thank you. That does make me feel better.
I'd prefer a flamethrower, but thank you.
Yeah. He's got the flamethrower for now. So then she sees something. It's a whole motherfucking bunch of frat zombros.
Oh, no.
That motherfucking dog went into that fucking bus and fucking zombroed all these frat dudes.
I've been zombroed before.
And here they come.
It's not good.
We've all been zombroed. That's kind of what they do, isn't it?
That is what they do.
Yeah. So Detective Cameron is inside looking out the windows. And one of the girls says, what? And he says, I got good news and I got bad news. Good news is your dates are here. Sister says, what's the bad news? They're dead. And I was like, did this motherfucker just say the tagline of the movie in his lines?
That's too good.
Yes, he did.
That's the title.
Yes, he did. It was so fucking good. So now we see that Chris has traded with Cynthia. She now does have the flamethrower.
Okay, good.
But the system that they have is you have to shoot to explode their head.
To then flamethrow.
To then flamethrow them, right? So like he now has the rifle and can't do his job. No. That's what he did. He shot it and then he's like, your turn. Throw some flame.
Flow it out.
Flow some flame. And she's like frozen. He's like, please just fucking fire it, Cynthia. And we're like, fuck, like, is she not going to do it? Now we're back inside with the sorority sisters and they're just running around. Detective Cameron was like, whoa. And then Chris shoots again, explodes another one's head. Cynthia gets it together, torches the motherfucker. And fucking Chris is like boner to the face. Like he's like so into it. Back to Detective Cameron, and he's like, lock those doors. And he tells who we recognize as Cat Lady to go lock those French doors. And she turns to him. She goes to lock the French doors, but it's windows. So a Zombro grabs her through the window, busts in. Detective Cameron pulls her away, and he says to her, I'm not making this up, with a cigarette still hanging out of his mouth. He says, duck. It's Miller time.
It's Miller time.
It's Miller time. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't think he was even holding a beer, but sure. It's fine.
Is his name Miller?
We've never met him. We wouldn't know it's Miller. He wouldn't know it's Miller. I really think he just
No, it's Detective Cameron.
It's Detective
That's what
Cameron.
I was asking. I was like, is his name Miller?
No. It's Cameron time. So while smoking a cigarette.
Maybe that was just real big at the time in commercials. I bet that was real big at the time.
I'm sure that it was. We'll have to look up when did Miller time become a thing.
We'll postmortem that.
Yeah.
I also was that for Halloween once.
You were Miller time?
Yeah, we were like a 6-pack of beer.
I fucking love that.
And we wrote with puffy paint, it's Miller time on front of tank tops.
God, I miss group costumes. College was a time for group poorly put together Halloween costumes.
It's never too late to bring it back.
Yep. So headshot, slugs everywhere. Now, Kim.
What?
He doesn't have the flamethrower. It's outside.
Fuck.
But he exploded this motherfucker's head.
Right.
He has a cigarette.
Right.
No flamethrower. What do you do? What does he do? And here's my clue. And this is a real clue. This is something that will be easily found in a sorority house.
Okay.
Especially with girls who have just been getting
ready.
Yeah!
Like uses this. Oh, hair. Wait. Does he specifically use the cigarette to hairspray fire them? And or the lighter for like I would probably use the lighter that I lit my cigarette with personally. Right. But yeah, he shoots the hairspray with a flamethrower.
And what do you do?
Same bitch.
Yeah. I mean, I like literally handed that to you on a fucking slug platter, but
you did. I'll take it.
It's fine.
Most of your clues suck though. You owe me at least 57 good clues. So I got one.
So he fucking hairsprays the slugs. Outside, they're torching the place up.
Nice.
I was trying to think of something that rhyme with torching and borching, but that's not a word. Torching outside.
Torching and scorching.
Torching and scorching. Oh my God, I'm so fucking in love with your brain right now. I can't believe you just torching and scorching. Though torching is the same as scorching.
Yeah, we are. That's what we're doing.
Okay. Torching and scorching Zombros. There's torching Zombros inside as well with some fucking hairspray. Cat Lady turns around, and we thought that Detective Cameron was saving her from the Zombros. Turns out she's a fucking Zombro.
I know, I thought she had the cat.
And it's probably been a fucking Zombro from the cat for days.
Yeah.
Who knows how long she's been a Zombro? So she grabs Detective Cameron, and she's kind of strangling him. And as he's on the ground, he looks up at an old sorority picture, and he sees his old girlfriend. And it fucking flips his shit out. Yeah. Fucking flips him out. And he just starts like lighting the place up with his gun. Like that kind of like crazy shooting where it's just like, and he fucking shoots all the zombies. But he definitely doesn't torch all the slugs. There's no fucking way. But like all the zombies are down. All the heads are exploded. Outside, the gun has jammed.
Uh-oh.
They have found themselves cornered. Let me explain how they're cornered, okay? There's a little ramshackle shed on your left. There is a fence on your right. And it's so narrow you probably couldn't even put your arms out like this, okay? If you go south down the little alley, you hit zombies. So you turn around, try to go north, more zombies. So you have a fence and you have a ramshackle shed on the other side of you. Kim, what do you do and what do they do?
And the gun is jammed? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm gonna climb the fence, and while I'm on the fence, I'm gonna fire throw the shed. So that's kind of burning, and then run away.
Okay.
They climb the fence and run away.
1 point for you. 0 points for them because they go into the fucking ramshackle shed. So now I'm like, well, now you're just trapped in a
stuck in
fucking
there.
shed.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not like a well-built shed. Like you could probably punch through it if you tried really hard. So they're cornered in the fucking shed. And good thing is they're slow zombies. So it's like you can make some choices, which is good. And he actually gives her attitude because it was her idea. And he's like, great, now we're trapped in a tiny fucking garden shed. And I'm like, I'm with you, dude. So Zombro grabs Chris. She steps up to the plate and torches the zombie like over his shoulder. Now she's grabbed. But the zombie has sort of broken the wall enough that he's like, run. So he's like, kind of wants her to like almost back out towards the zombie and run away. He then fucking starts the lawnmower and lawnmowers the zombie's face. And I'm like, okay. Back in the house, Detective Cameron, coming down off of his rage high, shot all of them in the head. Chris and Cynthia shot and fired all the ones outside, all the Zombros. So now all the heads have exploded and the slugs are scurrying off into. Where do they realize they're headed and why?
They are headed into the grave of the under the house mother den, split house den ladies.
Okay.
Where that guy came from.
Okay.
Because he was not the insane asylum person. He is from the meteor. I don't know. Or combined of the two. Or he was zombied by the slugs from the meteor. Something from E.T. people.
Half a point because they do go under the house, but they don't go under her house. They go under the sorority house, and they go under there because of those fucking brains in the jars that are down in the basement.
Oh, damn. I
Yeah.
forgot about the brains.
And this is why you don't keep brains in mason jars, because zombie slugs are going to go
Zombies coming for
zombie
you.
them.
They want their brains.
So they're going for the brains. Chris and Bruni Cynthia go into the house and they're just staring straight ahead. And Chris is like manned up.
Nice.
Like he's walking through and he's just like, get out of the house. Get out of the house. Just as he walks past any sorority sister, get out of the house. And like doesn't break eye contact with like the door to the basement. And Cynthia Bruni is behind him and they head down to the basement. Well, Detective Cameron is already down there with a flashlight. Okay. Detective Cameron has done something. What do you do and what does he do so that no slugs jump into you?
When you say no slugs jump into you, you mean me as Detective Cameron?
Mm-hmm. And then
What
also
did I
you
do
as
so
Kim Burns.
no slugs will jump into me?
Uh-huh. They like orifici.
He has duct taped all of his holes.
What do you do?
I put on a jumpsuit and also duct tape it around my arms and legs.
Oh.
And it's more of a bee suit. Beekeeper suit.
A beekeeper suit. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Duct tape it around me as well.
It's exactly what he fucking does.
He duct tapes his holes?
He duct tapes his mouth, but I can only assume it's on his butthole as well. I mean, your butthole is just the back door to your mouth.
Your butthole is definitely the back door to your mouth.
Yeah. So he fucking...
Mouth is the front door, butthole's the back door.
Yeah, exactly. So he fucking duct tapes his mouth, but then like a goddamn idiot, he takes it off to talk to them.
What?
And I'm like,
why'd you put it on in the
why
first
did you put it on in the
place?
first place? And we also see that he's got a big old can of kerosene. And he's just putting it all... What?
I don't know. Like a shadow just went across the wall, like in a way that like I don't know where it would have came from.
Oh, God.
Weirded me out.
Is it your 80s ghost?
I hope so.
Aw. So,
Hope he came to love me.
Hello? So, Detective Cameron duct taped his mouth and presumably his butthole, but then takes his mouth tape off. And he's gassing the kerosene into place. And we see in the corner when he shines the flashlight, there's a giant writhing pile of slugs.
Oh.
Which are all trying to get a brain, we can only assume.
Right.
And he rips tape off to say something to them, and then a slug like tries to jump into his mouth.
On.
And he catches it and he's like, "Don't even think about it, you little son of a bitch." And I'm like, there's no time for you to get cute. Like, you just opened your mouth so many times to say that one-liner to this slug that probably doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
So
you just need to be like,
So he and make sure your butt's closed the whole time while you do it.
Clench everything.
Clench your butt and
Close
your
your
vagina
eyes and your ears and be like,
yeah. And so he doesn't. He says it full. That's how I'm gonna do the whole. So then he starts counting down from 20 or something. 20, 19, 18.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do the whole thing.
Thank you.
But then Cynthia and Chris are also counting with him as they're running out. Like, basically, he's like, "Get out of here. I'm going to blow this place up." They get out to... Yeah. So they get out to the street, right? And Chris is safe from where the explosion is going to be. And he says, 3, 2, 1. Detective.
Thrill me.
Boom. It explodes.
Oh, shit.
So it's exploded. All of her friends are dead. Everyone's dead. Everyone's slugged. But Cynthia's still feeling him. So she snuggles with him outside of an explosion and says, "Nice tux." And then they smooch. And sirens come. And they're snuggling cheek to cheek.
Aww.
Not actually cheek to cheek. It was more like cheek to
How
chest.
50s of them.
Yeah. And snuggle, snuggle, snuggle. Now...
What?
You chose ending 2.
Right.
Ending 2. House is blown up. Sirens are coming. They're snuggling on the street. Oh. Is that Den Mother's little dog? Hi.
No.
She bends down. Slug into the mouth. The end.
Wait, what was ending 1?
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
So because you picked that, Cynthia is dead.
Right.
In that one. You chose her alive. If you had chosen ending 1 and Cynthia alive, you would have gotten that point. So here's the ending that I watched. I didn't know there was a second ending until I went to Wikipedia. And apparently the ending that I watched is not the ending that was shown in theaters.
Interesting.
So the ending that I watched, they're snuggling outside of the fire. Okay. Snuggling outside the fire. Hold on. And all is well. Cut to police cars driving past a burned up, charred to a crisp, completely black, still smoking a cigarette, Detective Cameron walking down the street.
Oh, shit.
He falls flat on his face, head explodes, slugs everywhere.
God damn it.
They scurry into a cemetery.
Oh, God.
Floodlight on the cemetery. Where's the floodlight coming from? A spaceship above it. looking for their experiment that they lost almost 30 years ago.
Okay.
The end. They were setting it up for a sequel.
But doesn't the other one set it up for a sequel too? Because the slugs are still there.
True. Yeah, it does. But I guess they wanted to set it up this way because, like, we literally never see the aliens ever again.
I was confused about that. I was like, what's up with the aliens?
We literally never see it again. So it's like, it's kind of this weird, like, zombie alien thing situation? Because all those slugs are aliens. But we just, like, don't see it. So I have a feeling that, like,
the second one was more alien heavy.
Exactly. Yeah.
So therefore,
like, you
that
could literally
ending made more sense.
Yeah, you could literally go through the entire movie, and like, if you miss the first literally 2 minutes, you don't know where these slugs came from.
Yeah,
and you don't know why any of this is happening. Basically, yeah. All right, let me count up your points. Hey guys, this is Kat
and Kim,
and we just want to let you know about our brand new Patreon we just launched. You can find us at www.kimandkatstayalive.com.
And you'll also find merch on there. Check out our merch store and follow us on social media at kksampodcast. We love you. Bye.
Okay.
Yes.
You got 14 out of 24 points.
All right.
You almost got 50% on the Dead or Alives.
I'll take it.
I know. I was like, that's good for her.
I'm sure I killed it on everything else. I basically get 100% otherwise.
You did fine. You did okay. So I fucking loved this movie.
Sounds fun.
I just...
What was it called again?
Night of the Creeps.
Night of the Creeps.
But it just fucking goes to show, it's like you can have a ridiculous premise, and if your acting is, I mean, one tick above mediocre, and it's just going to make your movie better. So what do you say, everybody? Let's just cast good actors.
Us.
That's what we're saying.
We're available.
Yeah. It was delightful. I loved it.
It was really fun.
And so what I realized later, the guy who plays Chris is the dude from National Lampoon's Vegas Vacation or Vacation. It's one of the Russes.
One of the Russes. I mean, it must be Vegas.
I think it's the first Russ.
But the first Russ is like a very famous person.
Ethan Embry is
the
one of them.
Vegas is Ethan Embry, I think.
Okay, then this would be just Vacation.
But he's
the first
Soup's
Russ.
famous too.
Is he? He's a famous director now.
Hold
Something
on.
Lively.
Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. I need to look this up immediately though on the... Oh, I was thinking Christmas Vacation. But just Vacation is Anthony Michael Hall. That's what I was thinking. Is Anthony Michael Hall.
Then no. Okay. It's Lively something. It's one of the fucking Vacations. He's definitely a fucking Russ in a Vacation.
All the Russes in National Lampoon.
We have to figure this out. Maybe he is Vegas Vacation. No, that is Ethan Embry.
That's Ethan Embry, and it's Anthony Michael Hall.
And it's Anthony Michael Hall.
Which is who I was thinking of. Okay, Jason Lively.
Yes. Which fucking Russ is he?
Hold on.
No, wait. Anthony Michael Hall is not in Christmas Vacation. Anthony Michael Hall is not in Christmas
he's
Vacation.
in just Vacation.
He's in Vacation. Okay. Who the fuck is the Russ in Christmas Vacation?
The kid from Roseanne.
Right. Galecki.
Yes. So Galecki, Anthony Michael Hall,
Ethan Embry,
and Jason Lively, who is in National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Vacation.
I don't know. Did anyone see it?
Yeah. I mean, I did. I recognized him. So, and now he's like a famous director.
Good for you.
Listen to Kim and my
European
other podcast,
Vacation Rest.
which is National Lampoon Vacation.
All the Russes.
All the Russes. Oh my God. I would actually love doing that podcast.
What if we just talked about the rest?
Oh my God.
How long? I bet we could go on for a long time.
We could go on for a while.
A dumb amount of time talking about the rest. That would be great. Boone's Christmas Vacation.
That would be so. I fucking love those movies.
As long as we did it with no research or research as it happens, just being like, who's the rest in the this, and then we talk about our feelings.
Oh
about
my God, I love it. So yeah, that was a movie.
That was fun.
It was great. I would love to watch it with you drunk one night.
Okay, I'm in.
Because the Detective Cameron one-liners.
I'm drunk right now.
Just
Let's watch
great.
it
Goodbye. We're gonna watch it right now. I still have a 48-hour rental on it. I guess that's it. This was a long one, you guys.
If you could please subscribe to our podcast, and rate and review, and then we have a Patreon and some merch if you want to buy them, and then we're on social media at kksampodcast.
And guys,
do the things.
I'm gonna plug us for a second. Our fucking BoneCon on our Patreon is worth a couple bucks a month because
bonus content.
BoneCon. Well, we're us, but then also you can see us, and then also we just do dumb, weird shit on video, on camera. Give us a couple bucks and you can see it.
And we do actually do the research into the things that we talk about on this every time where we're like, what is that?
Right. It's different in that way, in that we do research for this one. So yeah, if the thing that annoys you the most about us in our regular episodes is how little research we do, then come join us over at Patreon where we do.
The thing that you love the most is the dumb, stupid jokeness.
Yeah.
Come get more of that.
Really, I mean, honestly, Patreon is for you. Yeah.
But also any other reason it's for you. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's probably other reasons that people want to do it.
Cool.
Thank you so much for listening. We love you. This has been Kim and Kat Stay Alive.
Maybe.
So until next week, stay alive.
Don't get slugged.
Thrill me. Doug?
Ghosted me. I'm done.